41 votes, accounting for 3.29% of the overall vote in 2016 for the Libertarian Party. Despite this significant support, the Libertarian Party was not invited to the 2020 presidential debates and was not guaranteed a spot on all 51 ballots. The Green Party faces similar challenges. Ballot access is the primary reason we lack more choices, as in some areas, there is no one running. Additionally, we contend with the issue of wasted votes. There is a prevailing mentality that if you do not vote for one of the two major parties, you are wasting your vote or are in some way responsible for an unfavorable election outcome by not supporting the losing candidate. I no longer vote for the Libertarian Party and discontinued my membership for political reasons. However, the challenges we face will not be resolved until ballot access is improved, more candidates are invited to the presidential debates, and we stop shaming individuals for voting for candidates like Gary Johnson and Jill Stein instead of Hillary Clinton, Mitt Romney, or Kamala Harris. Story 43. A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. I do not expect the Union to be dissolved. I do not expect the house to fall, but I do expect it will cease to be divided. It will become all one thing or all the other. That's the essence of the message. Adding more parties won't fix the situation. It will only complicate matters further. In the end, we will choose to be all one thing or the other. Story 44. I think the reality is that as long as we have single-member district representation in the form of 2 senators per state and a representative per district, the two-party system is bound to remain. If the House were a proportional representation of parties, then people might feel like a third party has a chance. But right now, it's all or nothing according to the game theory. The only times we see party realignments in United States history are really around a wholesale value retrenchment in the electorate, normally brought on by intense external factors such as the New Deal coalition. The most recent realignment started with the Southern Strategy, continued with the 1994 Republican Revolution, and in my opinion, was truly galvanized by September 11th. I don't think Trump is a realigning force in himself, but rather a product of the realignment. Story 45. That's how it's supposed to work. The representatives are meant to vote with or against each other to represent the country, and the different branches should keep each other in check. As soon as parties vote in lockstep, everything falls apart, as we can clearly see happening. Story 46. Political parties are, at their core, groups of like-minded individuals choosing to work together. Not having a party is not feasible because if we abolish them, they would simply reform as like-minded people continue to collaborate. We would be better served by implementing a structure where more than 2 parties can actually thrive. Story 47. A party serves no purpose. All federal and military personnel do not serve in political capacities. They serve the country. Political parties stand in the way. Story 48. If we didn't have political parties, it would be easier for billionaires to buy seats at every level of government due to campaign spending. Political parties level the playing field to some extent by providing funding for important elections with candidates who share similar ideals. Story 49. None of them are going to save anyone. They are all in it together for themselves. They always have been. It's the American dream to be successful at someone else's expense. Story 50. People will come together based on ideology. There is strength in numbers, especially in a winner-takes-all governmental system. Story 51. I would prefer 6 parties or for us to split as a nation into 6 smaller nations based on regions, such as New England, the Midwest, and the South. A Republican from Boston wants very different things than a Republican from Alabama. Someone in California should not be telling Alaskans how to live and vice versa. All the welfare states can manage their own regions and vote according to their interests. They should not be affecting the states supplying them with funds for subsidies, as they advocate for their taxes to be used within their states for healthcare, education, better mental health care, a modern government, and less oppressive law enforcement. Story 52. I don't, and as a consequence, I hear it from both sides. Closer to me, I get it to the right because that is where much of my family resides, such as life. Story 53. I have always suggested that we run large mixed-bag primaries with no party affiliation allowed. Do not discuss your donors or your party. They do not matter. Focus on your policies and let the people decide who they prefer among the 12 candidates and what you advocate. I also believe the 5% vote minimum threshold to receive future federal campaign funding is intended to undermine additional party support at its roots. Candidates can run, but if they cannot meet 5% of the population, it becomes an uphill battle against the wealthy interests in the background that they must personally finance. Story 54. Answer. Ranked choice voting. Parties will form, and people with similar ideas will support each other. Our voting system forces us to become polarized into 2 major parties. Ranked choice voting will address this issue. Story 55. The only solution to our current predicament is to eradicate "Make America Great Again" from our cultural and political lexicon. To dash "Make America Great Again," The brainwashed masses, just as we denazified post-war Germany and de-Stalinized post-Stalin Russia. Story 56. Sounds like totalitarianism. Why not take the European approach and have many parties? For example, here in Finland, we have 25 currently registered parties, 9 of which have representatives in our parliament. Story 57. I have considered the idea that Congress and the Senate should have parties, but the President should not represent either party while running for office. Story 58. The First Amendment guarantees the people the right to associate with whom they choose. I am not sure how you are going to stop parties from forming. The Constitution emphasizes the importance of this right, so much so that it was written down as an unchangeable right. Story 59. In theory, it sounds wonderful. George Washington accurately warned against it in his exit speech from the White House. However, since most places in the United States have first past the post voting, inevitably political parties would emerge. Story 60. You mean each politician should vote independently on every single issue instead of following party lines? I don't think the system could handle that. Story 61. We need small groups to form coalitions. 2 parties cannot achieve it alone. By bringing together the center-left and center-right, we can accomplish much more. Today, we often cater to the loudest and most extreme voices. Story 62. Parties are an emergent property of representative democracy. If you want to eliminate them, you are demanding some form of oppressive totalitarian system. Simply put, people who work together on legislation will generally associate with each other and support each other's campaigns. You cannot prevent that activity without severely curtailing the civil liberties of your elected officials. It is noteworthy that a 2-party system is the Nash equilibrium within simple representative democracy. Furthermore, it is mathematically impossible to create an electoral system with the following properties. A Nash equilibrium of more than 2 parties. The consensus candidate wins. There are no key constituencies, which electoral theory describes as a dictator, someone whose opinion becomes the most important. A clear and easy algorithm to determine a winner. You can achieve 3 of those conditions. You can either accept the existence of key constituencies or employ a convoluted process for determining a winner. The first option involves any type of ranked choice or instant runoff system, which will create core constituencies whose opinions hold more weight than others. The second option refers to an approval voting system, where all candidates are rated by voters independently, necessitating weighted approval metrics and more complex